Yo, what's good YouTube? Zamcro here, aka Scoot, back with the Pokemon Battle Federation, and we have our Season 9, Week number 4 match, and we're taking on the St. Louis Carbinks, aka Andy, or Elegy YouTube. He uploads his stuff too. He's got a fantastic channel as well. I will link that in the description below. Don't normally link other people, but this dude, we've been buds for years on years on years now. We've actually been in, this is our 9th season of the PBF together. We both started in Season 1, and here we are in Season 9. So yeah, definitely one of my great buds of the community, and fantastic person to play against. We've always had some very interesting games, and definitely had some very interesting scenarios. Like, he finished Season 1 undefeated, and we played in round 1 of the playoffs where I knocked him out. And in Season 2, we both met up in, I think, semifinals or something like that, and I was able to, grab another victory over him. I think he made it to the finals of Season 4, and he made it to the finals of Season 7 with some, weird, what's the word? Not consequences, but circumstances. Yeah, there we go. Weird circumstances, but he did make it to. He's made it to 2 finals in this league, and he's got a very scary squad this season. As you see on screen, he's got the Infernape, Mega Venusaur, the Latias, Crocodile, Gyarados, which I think is one of his Z-move users. Klefki, Jolteon, Yanmega, Grand Bull franchise. He's drafted that thing. Not every season, but like 85% of the time he's drafted that, and that's why it's got the franchise tag. Not really a franchise tag, but definitely he names it franchise. One of the staples to the St. Louis Carbinks, and then he's got the Kamala and the Regias. So yeah, very scary squad. Like I mentioned, Gyarados being one of his Z-move users, the other one being Yanmega. Our squad, though, is very powerful in itself. We have Tapu Koko, Kieran Black, which in itself makes a pretty frightening, offensive core to start off the draft there. Then we've got Mega Heracross, Nidoqueen, Feral Thorn, Swampert, Mesprit, Mismagius, Silvally, Almamola, and the Entei, where our Z-move users are Tapu Koko and Mismagius. So for this matchup, we're bringing Tapu Koko, Kieran Black, Nidoqueen, Swampert, Mesprit, and the Almamola. We've got a little bit of heat in this matchup. We're coming off a loss to Kirby in Week 3. So this is what happens in every league that I'm in. I don't know if people catch on to that. But the goal, like my goal in any league, is to have an undefeated season. But after, suffering your first loss, that goal is no longer achievable. So once a goal is no longer achievable, it's, a lot of stress is, lifted off the shoulders. You can have a lot more fun building and things like that. So that being said, I have this Tapu Koko, which has U-Turn, Wild Charge, Brave Bird, and Mirror Move. So if you guys don't know, Mirror Move uses attacks. So if my opponent attacks me, I can use the same attack back. However, if my opponent uses Wish or something that isn't, an attack, if it's a status move or something like that, it doesn't do that back. Now, which I didn't know that before the game. That may or may not come into play. We'll talk about that when it happens. But we have the Flyinium Z. So we can either use a Supersonic Sky Strike versus Mega Venusaur to catch that thing off guard and potentially knock it out, or we can use Z Mirror Move, which, if you guys don't know, it gives you +2 attack, basically like you get a Swords Dance. And then I would have a +2 Brave Bird to knock out a weakened Mega Venusaur. Wild Charge really runs through the rest of his squad outside of Jolteon, and then I guess the idea with this thing would be, weaken his mons until they're all in range of being in +2, so I can just U-turn out on his entire squad, put myself in positions to whittle his team down with my like, say he brings in his Venusaur as I U-turned out into my Kyurem, then I get an Ice Beam. Something's taking an Ice Beam. Nothing on the squad wants to take an Ice Beam. Say he brings in Crocodile, I get the super effective U-turn damage off on that, and then I can go into my Kieran Black and fire off an Ice Beam. Same thing if he brings in the Jolteon. I can U-turn out into one of my ground types, Nidoqueen or Swampert, and then threaten it with a ground type attack or something like that. Lots of different things I can do, different ways to construct this squad. So, I'm speed creeping, I think, his Lottie. I think I'm speed creeping his Lottie with my Tapu Koko. I think that was kind of mandatory. And with Kieran Black, I'm actually just speed creeping a no speed investment Mega Venusaur. Reason being was I felt like if he brings Mega Venusaur, he would more than likely bring a bulky variant to take on my Tapu Koko, take on Mega Heracross to the best of its abilities, take on, Ferrothorn all day, Swampert all day, take hits from Mismagius and Alomomola, and even with its thick fat, it can take hits from Entei pretty comfortably. Obviously, it doesn't take hits from Kieran Black because of Terravolt, negating the thick fat and super effective Ice Beams just running through it. But I decided that since it was possible for me to EV my Kieran Black to live a close combat from Infernape, I felt like I was, that was a pretty nice, way to eliminate that threat. If you look at my squad, Infernape's a huge threat with things like Fire Blast, Close Combat, and Grass Knot. Like that murks my squad. Especially if he's like a Nasty Plot variant and he's able to land Focus Blast or something like that. So if he landed all of his Fire Blast, all of his Focus Blast, and had a Grass Knot, then a Nasty Plotted Infernape could just wreck me really bad. So the idea was to just have a Kieran Black that could live one hit from a non-boosted Infernape and then knock it out after, hopefully it goes for close combat, it gets the defense drops, and then I can knock it out with a Fusion Bolt, especially if the terrain is up. If the terrain's up, then it's a guaranteed knockout. So yeah, my Kieran Black is a Roost variant, Sub Roost, Ice Beam, and Fusion Bolt. He has no resistances to Ice Beam outside of things like Infernape and Klefki, which don't appreciate Fusion Bolts under the terrain. And then Fusion Bolt bops the Gyarados as well, so that's really nice. And so, like I mentioned, Kieran Black's really fat. Coco's a Z-move variant this week. Next up we have Nidoqueen. So Nidoqueen is kind of weird, I guess is a good way to say it. It doesn't really have any, like a lot of speed investment or anything like that. It's really bulky, kind of a bulkier variant, and it has Taunt to prevent Mega Venusaur. Like, it's not meant to necessarily check Venusaur or 1v1 it, obviously, because I felt like my offensive presence could do that. But it was more so that if it came down to like a 1v1 between Nidoqueen and Mega Venusaur, I would like to taunt the Mega Venusaur, prevent it from throwing off a Leech Seed, prevent it from clicking Synthesis or anything like that, and then I could start to whittle it down with Earth Power or Sludge Wave or my move of choice, so on and so forth. And I don't know if it was my rocker. I don't think it was. I think Swampert was my rocker for this match. Just let me double check real quick. Yeah, probably Swampert was my rocker with Toxic and Roar, and I think a water move. Toxic, Roar, water move, and rocks, I believe. Or maybe Meshbright had rocks. Either way, Meshbright had a knockoff for sure. I know that. And Alomomola is a kind of there. Like I mentioned, Tapu Koko is one of my ways to win this match, and one of his roadblocks is the Mega Venusaur. So I brought a Alomomola that kind of lures in the Mega Venusaur and can potentially take advantage of it if he lets me. So the first idea is to soak it, turn it into a water type. Then on the following turn, I can poison it, and despite it switching out and regaining its grass poison type, when it comes back in, it would still be poisoned if I'm able to land the soak into poison, or toxic, I should say. So I guess looking at Andy's team, he has Infernape, which could be like a Life Orb variant with like 4 attacks, or Stealth Rocks 3 attacks, or just 2 attacks with like Stealth Rocks and Slack Off or Encore or Taunt. Infernape has an insane move pool. It could be a Choice Scarf variant, it could be a Choice Banded variant as well, to just try to nuke my squad. It could be a Life Orb. I think Life Orb makes a lot of sense with like Close Combat, Fire Blast, Grass Knot, and Earthquake. You know, Earthquake being there to hit my Entei for super effective damage, things like that. Mega Venusaur could have Leech Seed, could have, you know, Sleep Powder, lots of different things it could do. It could be like 3 attack synthesis as well, with Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, and Hidden Power Fire for my Ferrothorn. It could be a huge nuisance to him. Lottie could be a Trick variant, it could be a Calm Mind variant. Lots of different things it could do as well. It could be more of a support role. It could have a Healing Wish as well. Crook, again, could be a Scarf variant. Crook actually does make a lot of sense as a Scarf variant. Being able to get super effective Earthquakes, you know, on Coco, and being able to click knockoff, you know, versus the rest of my squad, and potentially be a Moxie variant, or he could have the Intimidate to, you know, lower attack on things like Coco, for example. It could come in on a U-turn and take it a whole lot better if it has the Intimidate. Intimidating an Entei would be really nice too. I don't necessarily think his team's weak to Entei. Like I mentioned, he has Thick Fat Venusaur, he has the Lottie, Crook, and the Gyarados as well. So lots of different things he could, you know, try to check my Entei with, and that's another reason I'm not bringing it. And I think Gyarados could be like a Dragon Dance variant. It could be a Taunt variant. It could be a Dragon Dance Taunt variant with 2 attacks, like Waterfall and Bounce, with like a Supersonic Sky Strike. Could be very scary for my squad to deal with. I actually debated running like Scarf Coco to always revenge kill a Dragon Danced Gyarados. Also thought about running a lot of extra coverage on mons, like such as Thunderbolt on Nidoqueen, and I did run Roar on Swampert, but like I mentioned, he could be a taunt variant, and if he taunts me, then he's got the advantage at that point, and it could put me in a, you know, at a significant disadvantage. Sorry, I couldn't English there for a moment. And continuing on with his team, he's got Klefki, which could be a Defogger, could be a Spike Setter, could be a Thunder Wave user, Jolteon, same as, you know, Volt Switch Spam, Life Orb. Life Orb Jolteon actually does look decent versus me, outside of the fact that he has to choose between, you know, picking coverage either for Ferrothorn, or he has to pick coverage for Swampert. So he's either going to run Hidden Power Fire, or he's going to run Hidden Power Grass. He can't run both. And if he does, you know, all of that, then he doesn't have a way to hit Nidoqueen either. So, real rough to this. Not really. It's kind of like a, what is it, 4 move slot syndrome with Jolteon. And it's not. It's more than that even. You have to, and that's another reason I picked all these 2 ground types and Ferrothorn and stuff like that. I didn't want my electric terrain being used against me as much. So it's coming into play right here. As you see, Jolteon's forced into running moves to where it can't cover Nidoqueen, Ferrothorn, and Swampert. It can never do that. And even if it did, it can't cover Kyurem. So it has to run like Toxic or something. I'd say his best bet would be running like a Baton Pass variant, just to gain momentum into other mons, such as Infernape and the Lottie, Crocodile even. So and Gyarados, specifically Gyarados, because Gyarados could take advantage of a lot of my squad. And then he's got the Yin Mega, which is a huge threat. Tinted Lenses or Speed Boost, very, very, very hard to deal with, especially it being a Z move user too, so that's pretty scary. And then the Granbull, it's got, you know, triple Intimidate core here with the Crocodile, Gyarados, and the Granbull. Could be very annoying for my physical attack and mons. And it was kind of a reason I didn't necessarily want to run this Coco, but at the same time, I really, really wanted to run this Coco despite his Intimidate spam. So Kamala, it could do a few different things. I know he's drafted it before. It can be a rabbit. I actually got bot by it in a tour not long ago. Like, it didn't run through my whole squad, but it definitely caught me off guard. I don't know if it was like choice band or what, but it was murking me. And then the Regios, I don't really see it coming, but it could be like a Kyurem Black Ice Beam switch in pretty comfortably. But it does put him in a position to where something's going to have to drop to close combat if I was to get my Mega Heracross in on a Regios or something like that. And I don't really think he wants to switch into Mega Heracross too often. But his Intimidate core, like I mentioned, does help him a lot versus that. Anyways, that's going to be the prep. I think we talked about Alamola. It's got Wish and Protect on there as well. And I think I left that part out. Anyways, we'll go ahead and hop into the battle now and see how this goes. Alright, so here we're over the replay. And Andy decides to bring his Infernape, Mega Venusaur, Jolteon, Crocodile, his Latias, and the Gyarados. So very, very scary squad. He brought 2 mons that could potentially have the Intimidate, and then he's got the... First of all, he's got Mega Venusaur, Jolteon, and Crocodile, which really deter my Tapu Koko. It's going to be... And even Lottie does to my set, since I'm not running Dazzling Gleam or anything like that. So it's going to be kind of tough to pull off the idea behind my squad here. But Kyurem Black looks really, really good versus my opponent. I'm a very, very bulky Kyurem Black as well, like I mentioned earlier in the team building section. And being able to fire, if I'm able to get a sub up as he switches something out, such as Crocodile, Jolteon, or Mega Venusaur, whatever he goes into is going to be punished severely. If I have the Electric Terrain up, then he doesn't have anything safe to my Kyurem Black. The only bad thing that could happen here would be is if all of his mons are speedy and all of them outpace my Kyurem Black, so that having a sub up means that my sub is always broken as I knock something out, and then, you know, he's able to bring in something like Infernape or his Lottie to revenge kill me or something like that. Getting up my rocks isn't super important. I would feel a lot more comfortable just preventing his rocks, as opposed to both of us getting our rocks up or anything like that. I feel like chipping away at his squad and then saving everything for the late game and putting it all on Coco's shoulders is kind of the game plan here. So let's go ahead and hop into the replay and see what he wants to lead with. I guess I didn't mention he's got 2 potential Stealth Rockers, me and Crook and Infernape. So I'm going to lead off with my Swampert. It beats, or it has the potential to beat both of those mons. And he does lead off with his Infernape here. So he could have Grass Knot, but I'll 100% live from full here. And I can just go for my Scald here in case he wanted to attack or anything like that. I actually had to go for the Scald there had he went for Grass Knot, and I just, you know, went for Toxic on the turn 1, then it wouldn't have got me much out, as he would have been able to Grass Knot twice. Infernape being Toxic doesn't look to be that beneficial for me. So he goes into his Lottie and then doubles out into his Mega Venusaur as I go for the Toxic here. And he's going to be able to Mega Evolve here. I'm going to go into my Mesprat as I am Safety Goggles. So if he tried to put me to sleep, it wouldn't work. I hate that the sprites disappear there. So I get my Mesprat in here. He goes into his Crook as I think I get my rocks up here. And now what I'm going to do is click Knockoff. I didn't want to switch on his potential Pursuit. So I stay in because I know I can take a knockoff because I'm very, very bulky, and I'm able to knock off his item as well. So he's no longer Choice Scarf. Now my Coco doesn't have to worry about being easily revenge killed like that, and I can go out into my Alamomola here and throw off another Toxic. First off though, predicting his Mega Venusaur to come in, I'm going to click Soak, but he actually goes into his Lottie first, and I'm going to be able to throw off a Toxic on the following turn as he defogs rocks away. But his defog means that I can no longer get rocks up because my rocker is gone, which is really, really unfortunate for me. And I'm going to switch out to my Nidoqueen here, as his Jolteon's a water type. I didn't think it would have coverage for me, and I still don't. But he goes out into his Venusaur at the same time, and I'm going to try to taunt him as he goes out into his Infernape. So that was interesting there. And I'm going to go for Sludge Wave, and it does just over 25%. Not too much, nothing to even worry about really. And you can tell this thing's very, very bulky. And plus my Nidoqueen's kind of weak at the same time. I should really preserve Nidoqueen for Jolteon. I'm going to hard switch out here into my Kyurem Black. I feel like I've conditioned him to Giga Drain now. And what I can do is set up a sub here predicting his switch. Like I mentioned, I don't think he needs speed investment, and the way he was taking my attacks so far just, you know, further confirms my belief that he's going to be a slow Mega Venusaur, and that I should outpace it with my Kyurem. So he goes into his Jolteon here, and I'm going to roost up as he clicks Thunderbolt. And he does not break my sub with one Thunderbolt, but the second one does break my sub, as I'm able to get off a big Life Orb hit there. It does over half, and he's going to throw off a Wish here. Had I clicked Ice Beam here, I would have gotten rid of the Jolteon, and I would have been at a significantly better position at this point in the battle. A little bit unfortunate there. Here, I believe he's just going to break my sub, and what I'm going to do is roost up. I could have, I do attack actually. So I could have roosted up there and got back to full, and then just hard switched out, but I really don't have a switch in at this point. and Fusion Bolt brings him down to 6%, so I'm okay with that to an extent. I'm going to hard switch into my Swampert on this turn as he actually goes for the close combat, and I believe dies to his own Life Orb recoil. Luckily for me, Swampert's a bulky boy. Here I'm going to just go for the Roar so that this Gyarados can't set up on me, but he's actually taunted. Like I mentioned, he could be, and now that's very, very problematic for me. So I didn't want him to get multiple Dragon Dances up because I feel like I could, scare him out here with my Koko. I don't think I went really, I didn't pick my moves really quickly. My idea was actually to go into Kyurem Black because I know how bulky I am. But I realized that I didn't get that roost off earlier, and that I'm significantly weakened here. So if he was like Supersonic Sky Strike, he would knock me out. Or if he just took the time to do the two-turn bounce, he would knock me out as well. Or he could even Dragon Dance, predicting my roost, and then following up with a big attack. He could also be Wakan Berry as well, so he might not fear my Koko here. But this is my only play, is to bluff his Choice Scarf here, or that I'm just naturally faster, that I have so much speed investment. So I'm going to go for the Wild Charge here, and he goes into his Jolteon, and that's fine. I didn't have another play, so that was the only play I could actually go for. And he's going to go into his Mega Venusaur here, and I'm just going to U-turn out into my Kyurem Black, and I'm going to click Substitute once again. At this point, with Infernape being down, Kyurem Black's in an extremely, comfortable position. As easily as I dealt with Infernape, I'm not going to say it was easy because Swampert's half gone, and Meshsprite, which was one of my better checks to it, especially if it was physical variant, is gone completely. So, but it is gone without doing too much damage to my squad. I think it only did half to Swampert and broke my Kyurem sub, and that's all it did the entire match. So I dealt with it comfortably, I'll say that. So now I kind of regret how much bulk I put on my Kyurem Black, but as long as I outspeed this Mega Venusaur here and get a sub off before it can click Sludge Bomb here, I should be in an okay position. But he's actually faster, and he does 34%, so he would have broken my sub anyway. And he does get the poison too, which is a little bit unfortunate. I don't think it mattered that he got the poison, because he would have been able to outspeed me on the following turn. So I was forced to either sack something, or sack Kyurem or sack something else. Nothing on my squad, just 1v1s the Mega Venusaur at this point. So me trying to be cheeky with my Kyurem Black, EVing it to live a close combat from Infernape, I believe after Stealth Rocks. Sigh. It feels bad, man. It feels bad because I believe at this point the only way I can win this match is if my opponent plays recklessly throughout the rest of this. I don't necessarily think he's going to stay in with his Mega Venusaur. Mega Venusaur guarantees a 1v1 versus Swampert and Alomomola, so saving it here is the best case in my opinion. And he does just that. He goes out into his Jolteon here as I go for the Brave Bird. It was in range. As fast as he was, he had to be in range of Brave Bird with his Mega Venusaur. But he goes out into his Jolteon here, which is a fine play as well. And I go for the Z Mirror move and get my +2 attack. So now I'm going to try to see how much damage this will do with the Brave Bird. And he goes out into his Crook, gets the Intimidate off. So there's that Intimidate that I was mentioning earlier. He no longer has his Scarf though, so I'm going to be able to go ahead and 2-hit KO that. But he doubles out into his Jolteon, still takes 36% though, which is considerable chunk. Here, I should probably just U-turn out. +1 U-turn could do significant damage to Jolteon as the Brave Bird's bouncing off and he's got the Wish and Protect and stuff like that. What I'm going to do here is try to Mirror Move and steal his Wish. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Mirror Move does not work like that. And at this point, after my Koko, like I mentioned earlier in the match, it was all on my Koko at that point, and Koko's not going to be able to get the job done. I don't want to skip through this because, it's important the way, like I tried to pull it, I tried hard, I'm telling you, I tried hard. Like, I believe I throw off a Toxic here as he goes into his Crook, or I Soak, No, I throw off a wish. I try really, really hard to get all these plays right. I go hard into my Swampert to get this wish back. And now I have a little bit of leeway versus first of all the Crook and the Jolteon. He's able to get rid of my item though, breaks my Rendo Berry, so now I can't even survive a hit from the Mega Venusaur, which is okay, but now it's back to 75% or whatever. Just insanely bulky. And gets back up to full after this Giga Drain, but I am able to turn it to a water type, which is going to allow me to click Toxic, I believe. So the idea is to try to wish up. Like, this game's over. It's really just me banking on my opponent's choke. So I'm going to actually pause it for just a second and put it on fast mode. Alright, so I've paused it and put it here on fast mode, and now it's going to protect here on his Thunderbolt. I'm going to be out of range of a Thunderbolt, and I can turn this thing into a water type with my Soak, and basically try to get these Soaks, these Toxics off on the right turn. His non-stab Thunderbolt does 40%, so that's just a little bit too much. It's going to be really, really hard, and then he reveals Heal Bell as well. So this is pretty much my boy Andy's match here. He's going to be able to take this one, in my opinion. I am going to throw off Toxics, though. Toxic after Toxic. I'm really trying to get these turns right. Soaking a water type that's already poisoned. Doesn't really matter. He could have taunted me. I think he wanted to get his Heal Bell off, though. I'm going to sack my Coco there to his Thunderbolt. Like, I can't win, so the idea is to just basically bring my differential as close as possible, and I think a 4-0 is about as good as I can do in this match. Unfortunate for me. Andy definitely played extremely well. I don't think there was any RNG influence here outside of the Sludge Bomb poison, which did not matter. And yeah, Andy out-prepped me and outplayed me in this match, and I was very, very impressed with his prep. The Jolteon, oh, I love the Jolteon. Especially love the Jolteon. Just Thunderbolt, Heal Bell, Wish, Protect. Just to be kind of a soft check to Coco was a really nice bring, in my opinion. But yeah, the idea was to, yeah, I keep throwing off these Toxics. I keep catching the Gyarados, but eventually he's going to be able to taunt me, and then he's going to 1v1 me from there as I struggle to death. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. And now we're on a 2-game lose streak. I don't really mind 1 loss. I don't mind 2 losses. But when I get close to like 3 and 4 losses, I've really got to turn it up. So at this point, sitting at 2-2 now, I got to turn it up. I'm falling behind. Kirby's sitting at 4-0. Sebby's sitting at 4-0. Andy's now sitting at 3-1. So a lot of really good records out there right now, and I've got to catch up. I've got to catch up. So again, good game to Andy. Outplayed and outprepped me. No RNG influence in this match. I was really extremely happy about that. I can lose like this all day. Somebody, you know, outprepping me, outplay me. Even if you don't outprep me, but you outplay me, I can deal with that. Or if you don't outplay me, but you outprep me and your prep carries you through the match, I can deal with that. But I cannot deal with RNG losses or misclicks or anything like that. Really fortunate to for Andy here, picking up a big 4-0 win to put him back in the driver's seat of not really the league or anything like that, but of his own destiny. He's sitting at 3-1 right now, and that looks good on him. So yeah, nice 71-turn battle. Let me know what you guys thought about the prep and the plays on both sides of the field. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And like I mentioned, Andy's link for his YouTube channel will be down below. Go show him some love. Check out his side of the battle. I believe it was already uploaded. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.